Hi, I'm Helen from Heritage Organic Seeds, and today we're going to be sowing the celeriac that we received in our February subscription box. So the variety is Ibis. Now, like traditional celery, celeriac can be traced back to wild celery, but unlike traditional celery where we enjoy the stalks, celeriac is grown for the nice bulbous root. So a little bit different for you. So as always, we're going to bring some compost indoors to warm up to room temperature before we sow our seeds, because we do not want to sow our seeds into freezing cold wet compost, because all that's going to do is inhibit germination and potentially cause our seeds to rot before they even start to grow. So as always, we have our insert in the box which has the information about each variety, and then on the back it has the sowing instructions. So for our celeriac, it says we can sow our seeds into small trays or modules. So we're going to use these little small trays that fit perfectly on a heated propagator. If you're sowing in modules, then you want to sow a couple of seeds per cell and then thin out to the strongest seedling once those seeds have germinated. And if you're sowing in trays, then we're just going to scatter thinly on the surface of the soil. So let's get sowing. So these seeds are really fine, so I tend to pop them into the palm of my hand first and then sprinkle them. I feel like I have more control that way. So as you can see, they are quite tiny. And then scatter thinly on the surface of the soil. So we want a nice even scatter. We don't want them to be all clumped up together. So I haven't sown too many, and they're nice evenly spaced apart. And then we're just going to cover those with a light layer of compost. You really don't want to do a thick layer at all, just a very light layer, just to cover them so they're just covered. And then we're just going to give them a very light sprinkle of water. And then we're going to pop those somewhere warm to germinate, around about 18 degrees Celsius. I'm probably going to use a heat mat just to help speed that up. Celeriac can be a bit of a pain to germinate. I wouldn't expect an even germination. It can be very, very erratic. So patience might be needed with this one, but it will be worth it. And then once your seeds start to sprout and the seedlings emerge, we're just going to grow those on for a little bit to develop their root system and so that they develop into stronger plants. So we just need to keep an eye on them and make sure that they are well watered. We don't want to overwater any of our seedlings, but we do need to make sure that that soil just is kept moist. And then when our seedlings are large enough to handle, we're going to carefully prick those out and transfer them into small pots. So these 9cm pots are always ideal. I've got loads and loads of these in the garden, and they come in so handy for most varieties of vegetables. And we'll grow our seedlings on in these pots so that they can develop their root system and develop into nice, strong, healthy plants. Your seedlings will be ready for planting out when the risk of frost has passed and overnight temperatures are consistently above 10 degrees Celsius. This is generally around May. So I like to think of these in the same way as tomatoes. When we're ready to plant the tomatoes out, we'll also be ready to pop the celeriac outside into the ground as well. And we'll plant them out about 30 centimetres apart. The base of the crown should be just above soil level. And as always, we recommend always hardening off your seedlings before you plant them out permanently into their final position. Even if the weather seems really nice and warm, the overnight temperatures can fluctuate drastically. So just let them get used to being outside in the elements before you plant them into their permanent locations. Celeriac is a thirsty plant, so do keep your plants well watered during dry spells over the summer. And it can be harvested when they reach anywhere from about 10 to 20 centimetres in diameter, which could be as early as midsummer from an early sowing if the weather stays on our side. And this is a variety that will store really well as well. So I do hope that you all enjoy growing these. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. But happy sowing!